So I'm about to walk in and watch Sonic the Hedgehog 3. This is a movie I'm really excited for, and I was actually planning on going seeing this with a group of my friends, but I couldn't for some reasons, and so therefore I'm finally seeing it now. Very excited to check this one out because I like the first two Sonic movies. Sorry I couldn't see it with my friends if you guys are watching this, but I'll show up next time, I promise. But with all that said, I'll let you guys know what I thought of the movie when I get out. Hi, my name is Nathan, and I talk about a lot of movies on this channel. If you're new here, down below in the comment section, be sure to share what you thought of Sonidge 3 over on my channel. I have more content like this. Check those out once this video is over. And if you enjoy this video, click that like button and be sure to subscribe because that really does help a lot. And if you're wondering why I haven't been posting a ton of videos lately, it is now Christmas break as of the time I'm filming this video. As you know that I am a high school student, and like high schools, when you get your midterm in the semester, I had to study for a bunch of tests and finals, and so I was actually planning on going to see this movie with some friends just this previous weekend, but I couldn't entirely make it. So, studied for finals, finished that up, and due to some scheduling conflicts and what I had to do, couldn't make it to see it with my friends. Was finally able to go see it. I apologize for my friends for not showing up. I wish I could show up, but hopefully I will be able to show up when we go see the Minecraft movie. So, that's my story on Sonidge. Here are my thoughts on the movie, starting with the good. And I'll just cut straight to the chase. I thought that this film included the best of the Sonic movie elements, where I think it's the best of the three Sonidge movies quite easily. And the focus of this film is exactly what you would expect it to be on, which is on the Sonidge team with Sonidge, Tails, and Knuckles. And the three of them are just so fun on screen together, and that's kind of what you expect a Sonidge movie to focus on. The three main characters in this movie, not entirely the main characters, Sonidge is still the main character, but the three of them working together on an adventure, in this case, to work against Shadow and the Eggmans, the Robotniks. And the focus is entirely on them. And what I mean by that is that, unlike the first two films, it doesn't have a human subplot. The humans are truly the side characters in this movie. They are not front and center like they were in the first two films. And there's no human subplot, especially in the second film, where there's this whole thing about a wedding that I just never liked it whenever they cut back to that, especially on rewatch with Sonidge 2. But I think that by removing the human subplot, they did a really good job of just truly focusing in on what this franchise should have been about in the first place. And so, even though I really like the first two Sonic movies, a minor complaint about those movies is the human subplot. They removed that, put the Sonidge team front and center, and so, therefore, they are just a fun time with our characters, and adding to our three leads, who of course do have a great dynamic and are just so fun to watch on screen, you also get a set of great villains. First one you gotta talk about here, obviously you have Shadow, voiced by Keanu Reeves, which is simply just fun to see Keanu Reeves voicing a character in this particular franchise, because if you don't know, if you haven't seen these movies, Sonidge's favorite movie in these movies is Speed, which stars Keanu Reeves in it. They even make a reference to the movie Speed in this movie, so it's just kind of fun to have Keanu Reeves voice a character in this franchise. But beyond that, Shadow is just a great villain in this movie, where he has a personal motivation on why he's doing villainous things, why he's doing what he's doing, and you kind of learn in these little flashbacks all throughout the movie that make him a little bit more sympathetic than when you're immediately introduced to him. And he's a sympathetic character who actually does have a backstory. There is an emotional core running throughout his character, and he does go through kind of this character arc in this film that I just thought was really well done. other two villains you gotta talk about here, of course, are the Jim Carreys as the Robotniks, the Eggmans. And Jim Carrey, I have just absolutely loved this guy since I was a child. For literally half my life now, since I was like 7 years old, I've been watching a bunch of Jim Carrey movies, Dumb and Dumber being my introduction. I have fond memories of when my dad showed me Dumb and Dumber when I was a little kid, and Ace Ventura. Although I think I was a little bit too young to see those at the time, but still loved them at the time. Love those movies today, and I love watching Jim Carrey today. And this franchise seems to be the only thing Jim Carrey's been doing over the past, 6 years? And I think, much like the first two movies, Jim Carrey absolutely just knocks it out of the park with his performance. His manic, comedic energy is still present, just as it was back in the 90s. And in this case, he's playing two characters, so you get double the fun with Jim Carrey as the Eggman. He plays his grandfather variant as well as himself, and they're just so fun on screen together. They get a bunch of whole standout sequences. They steal the show, any sequence they're in, and Jim Carrey's just a ton of fun. And what I enjoyed about this movie story-wise as well is that the stakes are higher, both internally for the characters as well as externally as a threat. When it comes to our external side, you get a plot, kind of a generic villain plot brought to life by the Jim Carreys about them trying to literally destroy the world along with Shadow. And it also can have deep personal motivations and emotions where there's an internal conflict within, of course, where Sonic, once you reach near the third act of the movie, he's kind of internally conflicting with himself about what's the right thing to do. Shadow, especially all throughout the movie, is kind of conflicted a little bit on how mad he is, driven by vengeance in order to enact this crazy plan. And because the stakes are higher internally also, it has emotion to it. It actually has character arcs, journeys, and a lot of heart into it. And I would argue maybe the most heart of the three movies, the most emotion. And it's because it's the biggest in scale, internally and externally, the emotions just rouse up so much better in this movie than they did in the first two films. So, and it also maintains the franchise fun. It never gets lost in how sort of dark the plot lines go and backstories and things like that. It still manages to be very, very emotional while also maintaining the fun tone of the first two films. So for me, this was the best of the three movies. I thought Sonidge 3 was just a great little film to watch in the theater, and I wish I could have seen it with my friends. But with all that said, let's move on to the bad. When it comes to the bad of this movie, I won't have a lot to say here because I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It's probably one of my favorite movies of the year. But, there are some very minor plot holes here and there. Like, there's this plot line near the end about, like, a shield that I was a little bit confused by. It was like, there's like a shield surrounding a place, and at a certain point in time, maybe I didn't get this, like, a character goes in the shield and then nothing happens to them. Stuff like that. But those are just the very minor issues. Like, if you could let that slide, like, this is just a fantastic film in this franchise. And I enjoyed this franchise. I was there day one when, opening night in the theater when the original movie Sonic came out back in 2020. So, I just think that this is a franchise that has remained quite consistent, and I think that this movie is the best of the bunch. So overall, I'm giving it an A, but down below in the comment section, share what you thought of Sonidge 3 over on my channel. I have more content like this. Check those out right now. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end, and I will see you in the next one.